Welcome, sports fans. This is Ed Dick from PrimeTime Sports, bringing you a PTS Light NCAA Tournament Edition. As we've explained on our Facebook page and our website, Brent, Josh, Rob, and myself are doing a friendly competition between the hosts for NCAA the NCAA tournament. We each filled out brackets, which you'll be able to see on our Facebook page and at our website, www.primetimesportstv.com. And I want to keep track of the standings and the points, and we're going to find out who comes out on top. And the loser of the four of us is going to have to do something that's mildly embarrassing at the behest of the other, at the request of the other three that don't come in last. So we got some high stakes riding on this. It's not really you don't really particularly want to win. You're really just trying not to be the loser. So that being said, I want to go into a little bit of what my bracket and what my thinking is. First off, I'll start with my final four. Out of the South region, I have the Kentucky Wildcats defeating the Baylor Bears. Out of the West region, Tom Izzo's Michigan State Spartans, I have them defeating the Missouri Tigers, the Big 12 champion. Out of the East bracket, the East region, thanks to Fab Mello deciding to be ineligible for Syracuse, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes, co-champions of the Big Ten during the regular season, to taking on the ACC champion, or the SEC champion, Vanderbilt Commodores. That have been taken on. I have that matchup in Elite Eight. Ohio State winning there. And last but not least, in the Midwest region, I have the Kansas Jayhawks taking out the North Carolina Tar Heels of the ACC. So my final four: Kentucky, Michigan State, Ohio State, and Kansas. I think these are pretty. I think these are pretty solid picks. Kentucky's pretty much a given in that region. There's really, I don't see anybody that can really scare them, at least until they get to the Elite Eight. When I think Baylor's going to upset Duke in the Sweet 16, so you're going to have a 1-3 matchup there for me, at least in the South Regional Championship. And I like Kentucky to come out of that region. For Michigan State, they did defeat Ohio State in the Big Ten Championship game. And quite frankly, this is Tom Izzo's time of year. He really steps it up in the NCAA tournament. There's really not a better coach that I know of that knows how to get the most out of his talent in a crunch time situation like Tom Izzo. And I'm going to reward him for that. I think it's the two best, most established coaches in this region are him and Rick Pitino from Louisville. I don't have Louisville going very far, though. I have them losing to Long Beach State. I'll talk about my upsets here in a minute. But I think Michigan State, they create some matchup problems for Missouri, especially with their front court size. Missouri might be able to run up and down the court, but when you get into the later rounds, it becomes more of a half-court game. You won't be able to fly up and down the court like you usually do. Defense is paramount, and Michigan State, I think, will have the best defensive team come the end of the tournament when they play Missouri to go to the Final Four. Now in the East bracket, in the East region, Syracuse lost their starting center Fab Mello. He's been ruled ineligible by the school. So I'll give props to Syracuse for at least taking the right way to do things and suspending their own player. As I had Syracuse going to the Elite Eight, and losing to Ohio State, but I don't think Syracuse will be able to hang for more than 2 rounds. I had the Vanderbilt Commodores taking them out in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite Eight. Ohio State's going to have a pretty, to me, I think they're going to have a pretty rough time. The first round I'm not worried about. But the second round, I had West Virginia beating Gonzaga in a minor upset, mainly because Gonzaga's got to fly across the United States to play West Virginia. And you're going to set up a very tough second-round match for the Buckeyes between Thad Matta and Bob Huggins. West Virginia is just a tough team. They made it to the Final Four a couple of years ago, taking out the great team of John Wall and all those freshmen from Kentucky a couple of years back. So Bob Huggins does have a record of success in this tournament with the West Virginia Mountaineers. So I'm real scared about that second round matchup or the third round matchup, I guess. Yeah, so it's going to be a rough road for Ohio State, but I think if they can persevere and stay healthy, there's no reason for them not to get there. Now, lastly, the Midwest region, I have Kansas defeating UNC in a mild upset, and this is going to be. I think UNC is going to have a pretty easy ride all the way to the Elite Eight when they ultimately come up against Kansas. Kansas, to me, doesn't have a particularly hard road either. So I think they're both going to coast through. They'll probably see some stiff competition, but they're going to ultimately battle out with one another for the right to go to the Final Four. And quite frankly, I'm picking Kansas because everyone else is picking North Carolina, and I think I'm going to take a couple chances here when I get to my final predictions. But I'm going to talk about some upsets that I have, whether it be in the second round or the third round. My major upsets are Long Beach State taking out New Mexico, and Virginia taking out Florida. Those are my two upsets in the South and West, and these are both in the West region. I have Xavier defeating North Carolina in the South region. West Virginia is my upset in the East region, and in the Midwest region, I got my big one is the OU Bobcats taking out Michigan, and then even taking out Temple. Now, I'm not sure Temple's even going to get by the winner of the 12 seed matchup tonight. They'll be playing on Friday, but I think if OU can get by Michigan, there's no reason for them there's no reason for them to not be able to get to the Sweet 16, and I think they will. Long Beach State I also have going to the Sweet 16, along with Wichita State, one of the best mid-majors in the country. And I think Indiana's going to be a little depleted. They have a major injury they're dealing with, and Wichita State's they're going to be pretty peeved coming off of a loss in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, and I think they're a pretty solid team. So I have Wichita State ultimately losing to Kentucky in the Sweet 16. That's about it for upsets on my end. You look at these. And you look at the matchups and you look at the records, and it's hard to predict. You can't. It's fun to do. It's fun to talk about. But this year, I just don't see as many upsets as I have in the past. So I'm gonna go mainly chalk here, and we'll see. We'll roll the dice and see what happens. So let me briefly talk to you about my Final Four. Kentucky taking out Michigan State. I think Kentucky's going to take out Michigan State just based on their youthful exuberance and youthful talent. John Calipari is a pretty good coach, and he's still looking for his first national championship, but I think in this minor case, talent's going to ultimately override the experience and the coaching that Tom Izzo and his senior-laden team led by Draymond Green brings. I think Ohio State's going to defeat Kansas. This will be a rematch of an earlier affair where Kansas defeated Ohio State. Ohio State kept it close for most of the game, and they faded a little bit at the end, but they also did not play with their best player, Jared Sullinger. So, Sullinger presumably was going to be healthy for this game, and Ohio State really showed some mettle at the end of the season there, winning 4 straight games and taking out Michigan State at Michigan State to get a clinch a share of the title for the Big Ten in the regular season. Now they lost to Michigan State. It's a hard-fought matchup, but when you play the same team 3 times, a lot of the coaching really is neutralized, and at that point it's up to the players. And Michigan State's players are just a little bit better. So my finals matchup is Kentucky versus Ohio State. I'm going Homer. I'm going Ohio State. I'm taking the Buckeyes to win, namely because I want them to win, and 2, everyone is going to pick Kentucky to win too. So that's where I'm going with this. So I'm hoping this is a good bracket. I know I'm going up against some tough competition with Rob, Josh, and Brent. So we'll see how it pans out. So follow us on our Facebook page and check out our website www.primetimesportstv.com. That's where we'll be updating the standings for after each round, or probably after each weekend, of play, and we'll keep a running tab on the totals. Thank you guys very much, and check out the other guys in their brackets as well. Our brackets are up online, and I look forward to watching the tournament. Take it easy, guys.